Assalamu alaikum. Picking up where we left off on 40 recommendations for a Muslim home. This is chapter 2, creating an atmosphere of faith, iman, in the home. So point 3, making the home a place for the remembrance of Allah. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reported to have said, the likeness of a house in which Allah is remembered and a house in which Allah is not remembered is that of the living and the dead, respectively. This hadith is in Sahih Muslim. So, what does a house that's set up for the remembrance of Allah looks like? Which we kind of touched on it. Do you have a place where you sit down and just not no bid'ah dhikr circles or nothing like that, but where you just sit down and you make a little dhikr? Subhanallah, 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 Azim wa bihamdihi. Things like that. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Walhamdulillah. Things like this. There's hadiths on certain dhikrs, how many times you should do them. Just becoming familiar with that. Is a home set up more for entertaining the dunya, or is a home set up more for the remembrance of Allah? Where, just walking through your house, man, you reminded of this deen and what you should be doing. Is it set up with a quiet place for you to sit down and read and study the books of Islam? Even if it's just reading your Quran from time to time. Like, how often do you read your Quran? Let alone other books. Do you have is it an atmosphere where it's set up for you to sit down and try to learn to memorize some Quran, with the best of your ability? Just things that could kind of keep your iman low, as opposed to a house where music is always being played. The worst type of TV shows is on, the type of conversations that's being held in the house, the arguing, you know what I'm saying? For the individuals who still kicking it with their people, the smoking, the drinking. Like, what is the home set up for? So when you weigh that out, house music always playing, weed smoking, drinking, cussing, boyfriend, girlfriend, so fornicating in the house, kids might be of age, they fornicating in the house, TV shows, no lectures. So you look at this one side where there's too much dhikr, too much remembrance of shaitan in there. Then you look at the house that's set up for the remembrance of Allah. People sitting around making dua, people making dhikr, reading Quran, listening to lectures, listening to the Quran being recited, listening to different reciters, even having some type of Islamic trivia with your spouse, with your kids. There's the hadith game, there's the Quran game. Just set up any type of Islamic trivia for yourself, where you keeping yourself in a mindset of the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal wal Muqtadir. So you can see, when you put these two type of homes together, you can see how it's compared to the one with the remembrance of Allah is like the living, and the one without the remembrance of Allah, it's like a dead home. You can't get any growth from it. You might feel like you're growing in the dunya, right? We having fun. I'm entertaining friends. I'm entertaining family. I have it going on. I'm buying expensive foods. I'm buying expensive alcohols. We living it up. We in here. We all sitting around being gluttonous. You know what I mean? But there's no Islamic growth in it. It don't lead to Jannah. It don't lead to to the type of lifestyle that Allah is pleased with. Like, let's look at this. How many of us know of a situation where there was a get together and it started off, everybody was having fun? You know, music playing, you know, dudes stepping to the little females, you know what I'm saying? The female getting the little guy she like. Everybody's having fun. A little drinking, you know, some games being played, you know, people who play cards or dominoes or whatever's going on. Having a good time. Then next thing you know, something happens and somebody gets killed. Or somebody gets shot, or the house gets shot up, or fighting breaks out in the house, and then the police show up and people go to jail. And then somebody, the police done showed up, and somebody who on parole had a gun on him or had some drugs on him, and now he going back to prison. Now the reason why I mention that, because we all know of these type of situations. Either we've been there when it happened, we heard about it, it was at a relative house, a friend house. And in some cities, you know, in the house of some Muslims. Or some individuals met at these get-togethers, right? Went somewhere and fornicated and caught diseases that they can't get rid of. You know, they was high and drunk. Or, you know, to say the worst, some female, some weird cat put something in her drink or something she was smoking, gave her a lace pill, and had sex with her that she didn't even know about till the next morning. So the home set up for this type of things. Now let's flip it to the other side. How many times or how many incidents do you know of this that ever happened where a group of Muslims got together to read the Quran? Got together to listen to a lecture and eat some halal food and drink some tea. You know what I'm saying? Some nice fresh squeezed juices. To sit around and study a book like Al-Wajibat or a book like 40 Recommendations in a Muslim Home. Or just to sit back and get the first book of Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Sunan, Nasa'i, Dawood, Tirmidhi, and Ibn Majah, and go to the chapter of Tahara in each book, and then everybody just take turn reading the hadiths from all those books and comparing those. How many fights break out at that? How many shootings and killings break out at one of those type of gatherings? How many people end up fornicating and catching diseases they can't get rid of? Now, I'm not saying having the brothers and sisters mix in. You know, it could be something, man, where a sister is there with her wakil and a brother there, and they can meet and they can get introduced, and it might even lead to a permissible marriage. We're not talking about a mixed gathering like a get-together at a house or people who homes is set up for these type of things. You know what I'm saying? Where you got a friend, you right, your girl, she got some friends, y'all link them just because y'all friends, and creating a whole entire haram atmosphere. So you can see when you put it like that, and you can see how one is considered to be compared to the living and one is considered to be compared to the dead. Right? So we got to keep that in mind. And as strange as me having this conversation, don't think, man. Because Islam is perfect. Muslims are not. Don't think that these type of things don't go on at a Muslim household. I'm gonna pause for one second and say, I was in a particular city, and I had to. I'm trying to say it that way because I know some of the people who watch this video, they're gonna automatically try to say where they think this city is, and we're gonna say what the home was set up like. True story, man. with some brothers. We traveling to the city. You know what I'm saying? So we make a little pit stop with some sisters, right? And a brother there. So we get there, and as we sitting, you know what I'm saying, some little food and stuff being cooked in the back, and then I noticed, you know what I'm saying, like Muslim brothers coming to the door, beards, pants to their shin, you know what I'm saying, way above the ankle. Some of them had on thobes, kufis, but they got fifths of Hennessy, right? They coming in with drinks, but they all going upstairs. So I noticed they not coming back downstairs, but I know it's another sister upstairs. It's their house, so I know they upstairs. So about 5, 6 brothers go upstairs. So my mind is analytical. I mean, it ain't hard to tell. And then you start smelling the marijuana. So the brother, who was a relative to one of the sisters in the house, because I was an out-of-towner, they was like, I could see you trying to figure out what's going on. So, I was like, I am kind of curious. So, you know what I'm saying? She was like, come on, I'm going to show you. I don't know if it was trying to see what type of brother I was. Walked me upstairs. Door wide open. Brothers was sitting in there. Sister had a stripper pole in her bedroom. I probably shouldn't even be talking about this. Stripper pole in her bedroom. Cats drinking, smoking weed. Muslim sister. Niqabi. Stripping. For these brothers. They throwing ones. Like real stripper pole with a little built-in stage type thing. It wasn't real high. Throwing money on there. Smoking weed and drinking. Now, what this home was set up for? But this how she ate. And on top of that, the marijuana they were smoking, she was selling it to them. But this how she ate. Mine was blown. What this house is set up for the remembrance for? What this house set up for the remembrance for? And keep in mind, there's food being cooked in the background. Why is food being cooked in the background? Because there's dinners for sale. Right? You can come in there, watch a little stripping, throw you some ones, get you some little trees to puff on, sip your little Hennessy and different drinks you bought, and put in an order for some fries and hot wings, man. Okay? In a Muslim household. Put your little order in for some fries, some hot wings, a steak, baked potatoes. Mine was blown. And I seen this with these. My own eyes. I didn't have to hear about it. I seen it. Man, I always be like mentality. So, continuing on, but I'm sorry, but this books like this is showing, man, how the homes need to be set up for the remembrance of Allah, and not for the remembrance of Shaitan and his dunya, man. Chasing that paper, man. Chasing that paper for a place Well, they really didn't even have no rent. So you wouldn't try and get no rent money. rent like $65. Okay? Rent $65. I ain't finna go into that. But man, we gotta us as Muslims, man, we gotta get this thing. Hey man, we not doing it right, man. It's obvious, man. Take a look, man. We not doing this Islam thing right, man. We not. There's no way a place like this should have had existed. And you think it was the only one? Lie. Stripper pole in the bedroom, baby. Getting to it. With Muslims, men that was bawling. I'm talking about just off an estimate. Man, it was probably about, man, it had to be about 2 G's on the floor. Know what I'm saying? It looked like it. It could have been less. It could have been all ones. You know what I'm saying? I just came up the steps and took a peek and was like, I didn't know that's what I was going to see. I didn't expect that. So it was like a seen it, then it was like a stuck, then it was looking at another person like, man, why you bring me up here? Then it was like, looked at the flow, looked at the brothers, and a brother did me like this. Come on in, Ak. I was like, pfft, and walked back down the stairs. We gotta start having Muslim homes, man. So continuing on, we must take our home. We must make our homes places where Allah, the Exalted, is remembered in all kinds of ways, whether in our hearts, alhamdulillah, verbally, during prayer, by reading the Quran, by discussing Islamic issues, or by reading different kind of Islamic books. How many Muslim homes nowadays are dead because there is no remembrance of Allah Ta'ala mentioned? So there's no remembrance of Allah Ta'ala as mentioned in the Hadith. We must, astaghfirullah. What must they be like when all that is heard therein is the music of shaitan, with instruments and singing, backbiting, slandering, and gossiping, let alone stripping, getting high, drinking, and whatever else strange for a little bit of more change. Alright? What must they be like when they are filled with evil and sin, such as the haram, forbidden mixing of the sexes, and wanton display between relatives or people who are not mahrams, or with neighbors who enter the home? How can the angels enter a home like this? Revive your homes with all kinds of dhikr. May Allah have mercy on you. So I'm going to stop there. We're going to get ready to go into point 4, which is making your home a qibla. Right? Just a sample of it. That is making the home a place of worship. That is making the home as a place of worship. Alhamdulillah. So inshallah, let me put a little mark here, and then inshallah we'll get back to continuing on with 40 recommendations for a Muslim home. Assalamu alaikum.